Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Podcast English Channel, where learning English is easy and fun. I'm Alex.
And I'm Emily. Hi, Alex. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Emily, and I'm a little hungry, actually, because I've been thinking about our topic for today.
Oh, that's a good sign. What are we discussing?
Today, we're going to talk about something everyone loves, food. Specifically, we're going to talk about the best meal of my life.
Wow, that is a big topic. The best meal. That's a difficult choice. I've had so many wonderful meals.
Me too. And what's interesting is that the best meal isn't always the most expensive or fancy meal. Sometimes it's about the place, the people you are with, or just how you feel in that moment.
That's so true. It's about the whole experience. So, in today's long episode, we're going to help our listeners talk about their own food experiences. First, we'll learn some great vocabulary to describe food. Then, you and I will each share a story about the best meal of our lives.
It sounds like a delicious episode. Let's get started. Okay, so before we can tell our stories, we need the right words. Let's build our food vocabulary. The first thing we need to describe is taste or flavor.
Right. The most basic tastes are sweet, like sugar or honey, and salty, like chips or the ocean.
Then we have sour, which is the taste of a lemon or vinegar. And the opposite of sweet is bitter, which is the taste of dark coffee or dark chocolate.
There's also a fifth basic taste that has become very popular to talk about. It's a Japanese word, umami. It means a savory, meaty, rich flavor. You find it in things like mushrooms, soy sauce, and cheese. It makes food taste very satisfying.
That's a great one. And of course, a very popular flavor is spicy or hot from chili peppers.
So we have sweet, salty, sour, bitter, umami, and spicy. Those are the building blocks. But we can also use other words. For example, a sauce can be rich, meaning it has a deep, strong flavor. Or a flavor can be tangy, which is a sharp, almost sour taste, like in a good barbecue sauce.
Good examples. Now, what about how food feels in your mouth? This is called texture.
Texture is so important. For example, ice cream is creamy. Potato chips are crunchy or crispy.
What's the difference between crunchy and crispy?
That's a good question. They are very similar. I think crunchy is a harder sound and feeling, like a raw carrot. Crispy is lighter, like a perfectly fried piece of chicken.
I see. What about meat? A good steak should be tender, which means it's soft and easy to cut and eat. The opposite is tough.
And bread or a brownie can be chewy, which means you have to chew it for a while. And a ripe peach is very juicy.
Okay, so for texture, we have creamy, crunchy, crispy, tender, tough, chewy, and juicy. This is a great list.
Finally, let's talk about some general positive words. Instead of always saying good, what can we say?
You can say delicious, which is the most common one, or you could say the food was amazing, fantastic, or incredible.
I also like the expression mouth-watering. It means it looks or smells so good that it makes your mouth produce saliva. You can say, the cake looked absolutely mouth-watering.
And one more, unforgettable. You can say it was an unforgettable meal. This means you will remember it forever.
Perfect. Now we have the vocabulary we need to tell our stories.
All right, Emily, tell us about the best meal of your life.
Okay, I've thought about this a lot, and for me, it was a meal I had about 5 years ago. I was on vacation in Italy with my parents and my brother.
Italy, the perfect place for a great meal. Where in Italy were you?
We were in a small village in Tuscany. It was a beautiful, sunny afternoon. We were walking around and we found this tiny little restaurant. It was a family run place with only maybe 5 or 6 tables outside in a garden.
That sounds lovely. What was the atmosphere like, the feeling of the place?
It was so peaceful and charming. There were flowers everywhere. An old woman, who I think was the grandmother, was the chef. Her son was the waiter. It felt very authentic and welcoming.
So the atmosphere was perfect. What about the food? What did you order?
Well, the menu was all in Italian, and we couldn't understand much. The waiter just smiled and said, "Don't worry, Mama will cook for you." So we just let them bring us food.
A surprise meal. That's brave. What did they bring first?
First, they brought out some fresh homemade bread with olive oil. The bread was warm and a little crunchy on the outside, but so soft inside. The olive oil was so green and flavorful, simple but delicious.
I can almost taste it. What was the main course?
The main course was homemade pasta. It was a simple tagliatelle with a tomato and basil sauce. Alex, I can't even describe it. The pasta itself was so fresh and tender. The sauce was incredible. It was a little bit sweet from the fresh tomatoes, but also tangy and so rich in flavor. It was the best pasta I have ever eaten.
That sounds amazing. Just pasta?
That was the main dish, but they also brought a big salad with vegetables from their garden. Everything was so fresh and crispy.
So we have amazing food and a beautiful atmosphere. What made it the best meal? What was the unforgettable part?
I think it was the feeling of that moment. The sun was warm, the food was made with such love, and my family was all together, laughing and talking. We were there for almost 3 hours. There was no rush. It was just a perfect, happy moment in time. The combination of simple, incredible food and the people I love made it unforgettable.
That's a wonderful story. It really shows how the best meal is about more than just what's on the plate.
Okay, Alex, your turn. I told a story about a relaxed family meal. I'm curious to hear about yours.
My story is quite different. It wasn't in a quiet, peaceful restaurant. It was on a busy, noisy street in Hanoi, Vietnam.
Wow, a completely different setting. I love Vietnamese food. What was the situation?
I was traveling alone, and it was my first night in the city. I was walking around the old quarter, which is full of energy. Motorbikes, people, sounds, and smells everywhere. I saw a crowd of local people sitting on tiny blue plastic chairs around a small food stall.
Ah, the classic street food experience. Those are often the best places.
Exactly. I had no idea what they were serving, but it smelled amazing. So I pointed at what someone else was eating and sat down on one of the little chairs.
What did they give you?
They brought me a bowl of pho bo, which is a classic Vietnamese beef noodle soup. But this was unlike any pho I had ever had.
Describe it to me. What made it so special?
First, the broth, the soup base. It was incredibly rich and flavorful. It was savory and had spices like cinnamon and star anise. It was so complex and delicious, I just wanted to drink the broth by itself.
A good broth is the secret to good noodle soup. What about the other things in the soup?
The rice noodles were perfectly cooked, soft but still a little chewy, and the beef was amazing. It was sliced so thin that they just put it in the soup raw, and the hot broth cooked it perfectly. It was unbelievably tender.
That sounds incredible. What else was in it?
On the table, there were fresh herbs like mint and cilantro, fresh chili and limes, so you could customize your bowl. I added a lot of chili, so it became very spicy and hot. Then I squeezed in some lime, which made it a little sour and tangy. The combination of all those flavors, the rich broth, the spicy chili, the tender beef, the fresh herbs, was just an explosion in my mouth.
It sounds absolutely mouth-watering. So, like my story, the food was fantastic. What made it the best meal of your life?
For me, it was the whole experience. I was sitting on a tiny plastic chair on a busy street in a new country, eating the most delicious soup I had ever tasted, surrounded by local people. It was an adventure. It felt so real and exciting. The food wasn't just food, it was a way to experience the culture of that place. It cost maybe $2, but it was $1 million experience. It was totally unforgettable.
Alex, your story is fantastic, and it's so interesting how different our best meals are. Mine was calm and with family. Yours was exciting and by yourself on a busy street.
But they have some things in common. In both stories, the food was simple, but made with fresh ingredients and a lot of care.
That's true. And in both stories, the experience was just as important as the food itself. The atmosphere, the people, the feeling. That's what elevated it from a good meal to the best meal.
Let's do a quick recap of some of the great food words we used today for our listeners.
Great idea. For flavors, we used words like rich, sweet, tangy, sour, and spicy.
For texture, we used words like tender, chewy, crunchy, crispy, and creamy.
And for our overall opinion, we used powerful words like delicious, amazing, mouth-watering, and unforgettable.
We really encourage our listeners to try using these words. The next time you eat something you enjoy, think about it. Is it crunchy? Is it sweet? Is it rich? Practicing this will make your English vocabulary much stronger.
And now we have a question for all of you listening. What was the best meal of your life?
Think about it. Where were you? Who were you with? And what did you eat? Try to describe it using some of the words you learned today. You can write it down, or even better, tell a friend.
We would love to hear your stories. You can leave a comment on our website and tell us about your best meal.
That's all the time we have for today. We hope you enjoyed our stories and learned some useful English.
Thank you for listening. Join us next time on Podcast English Channel.
Until then, have a delicious week. Bye, everyone.